joining us, everyone. And again, our awesome guest is Jeffrey Gonzalez. Welcome, Jeffrey.
How's it going, everybody?
Ooh, you sound good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, do you want to start the show off?
No, what do you
Okay. Jeffrey.
I'm just looking at all the stuff he has on here. Did you notice? So what's all the things on your desk there on your Bigfoot?
Well, I got my homie over here. Well, I mean, I have a studio in my house, and unfortunately, you can't see everything that I have here. But I have, since we do everything paranormal, I have, Stonehenge stuff. I have Sasquatch. I have aliens over there. I have Bigfoot over there. So I've got, stuff all over the place. And I guess the only thing you can see right now is this little hairy guy here and a statue over here.
Love it.
Jeffrey, we're so excited to have you tonight.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I told the viewers that tonight's part one of our interview, and that next Tuesday you will be back and we will be talking about Mothman.
Absolutely.
And so tonight, let's start the show off with...
Now, let him introduce himself.
Oh, yeah, honey, go ahead and talk about yourself a little bit to the viewers, please.
Sure. Well, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I started a paranormal society called the Sanger Paranormal Society about 8 years ago. And it was strictly in the ghost area. I have a degree in electronics, so I know a lot about cameras and, just electronics. And, I was watching what was going on TV. The first ghost reality show to come out was obviously Taps. And I said, you know what, I can do that, and I've had an interest in paranormal since I was a kid. So I went ahead and started my society, just strictly ghost. But what happened is my name got out there, and people started coming to me and telling me their stories, not only about ghosts, but other paranormal stuff that was happening around the valley. And I couldn't believe the stuff I was hearing. And one thing led to another, and I just started adding cases that involved other stuff as well, like UFO'S and abductions and Bigfoot, and it just started going from there. And then Mothman, and I'm going, are you kidding me? In this, here in Fresno of all places, and we'll get into that. Why Fresno? Well, there's a good reason why I think I'm getting, like I said, I was telling Donna, I'm getting that close to finding out why in Fresno. But anything and everything you want in paranormal is here. And so like I was telling Noreen, wherever, however way you want to go as far as what you guys want to talk about.
Everything, everything you know. We want to pick your brain.
Well, let's start with the paranormal, since that was what you first started. Did you have experiences yourself, or what caused you to start with the paranormal?
Well, since when I was a kid, I loved it. The best TV show that came out, I remember in the 70s, was In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Right.
That right there, I remember. I think it came out on Wednesday nights. That was a long time ago. I would, in elementary school, get in front of the TV and wait for that show to come on because it was awesome. Another show that piqued my interest back then was Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Yes, love that show.
Love that show, yeah.
Okay, and that one was another one where I was, in elementary school, I was in front of the TV. And then the show of all shows was The X-Files. Okay, when that show came out, it was all over. And I wanted to do something like that, like The X-Files. And now that's where I'm at right now. When I was a kid, I also saw, I've never seen an actual ghost, apparition, or spirit, but I did see my first UFO when I was in elementary school in Sanger. It scared the pants off of me, basically. Me and my sister and my neighbor were outside, and it was getting close to sundown, and we looked up in the sky, and it looked like a can, an aluminum can with lights on it, and I knew that this thing shouldn't have been in the air. There's no way. It wasn't a balloon. I don't care what I know what helicopters are, what they look like, airplanes. this thing should have never been floating in the sky like that. And I remember all of us running into the house, and it scared me so bad that that right there also piqued my interest, and I started reading UFOs and Loch Ness Monster and anything I could get my hands on. And then now, since I'm involved in investigating all this stuff, what I've been noticing a lot though is UFOs, unidentified flying objects over Fresno. There are so many of these things flying over Fresno. I'm trying to find out why and what are they, who do they belong to.
Who do they belong to?
You know, so, and while doing this, I found out that some people are not liking me doing what I'm doing right now. And I think I'm getting close to finding out, you know, for the longest time, Fresno has been a quiet community. You know, everybody minds their own business. You know, they go to work, they go to school, they go to work, they come home, they do it again the next day, they do it again the next day. And what I'm finding out is that there has been a lot of top secret stuff going on here in the valley and the surrounding foothills as well. And since I have come along trying to figure out what is going on, they are not liking that at all. And I think Donna knows that as well, because, you know, she's spoken to me a couple times, advising me that that what I have been feeling around me, and, you know, I've actually had people in white vehicles following me, and because, you know, I'm getting pretty darn close to finding out what's going on, and they're not liking it.
No.
Now, Jeffrey, how did they find you though? Is that because you've been going to these places and are they like surveilling those areas that you go to?
I think it all started when we had a UFO encounter, a sighting in east of Fresno last year and a half ago, where I used to be an investigator for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, and I also used to be the state section director for them for about 2.5 years. And in that time period, I was in charge of the valley. And a sighting came in where it was on a Saturday morning, and I work for AT&T Telephone. So that Saturday morning, I was working out in the field, out in the country. So happened that down the street is where the sighting occurred. So I decided that, you know what, I'm just about finished with what I'm doing on my job for AT&T. I'm going to drive by and just drive by the house so I get an idea of where this place is at, because I pulled it up on my computer, the report. And as I was driving by the house, off to the right, I noticed this white van pulled over to the side, directly in front of the house across the street. And as I was driving by, I kind of like peeked in my passenger window, and I noticed the driver sitting there in a suit, dark sunglasses. It looked like a Marine, big buff dude, crew cut. And I'm going, okay, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And
oh, can I just ask you one question, Jeffrey? Do they look like those guys, Men in Black?
You know, I don't know I mean, it did look like Will Smith. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what a Men in Black looks like, to be honest. To me, this looked like a military guy.
Oh, okay.
And that's what this guy looked like, because he just looked military. And I drove by and I go, whoa. And, you know, the engine was running. I could see the headlights were on. Unmarked white van. So, as an investigator, I have a briefcase and I have 2 types of video cameras. I have everything I need in there in case something happens while I'm working. And so what I did is I drove by the guy and I just kept on going. He didn't know who I was, so I was driving my AT&T van. And I made a U-turn and I parked on the opposite side of the street about 50 yards away. And I got out and put out my pylons like I usually do when I'm working. I got back in the car or the van. I broke out the video camera and I started videotaping him from across the way. And he had no clue I was there. And a little bit later, another white van showed up and parked directly on the side of him. And I did them both. And I posted that on my website, and pretty much everybody started talking about it, and I started doing interviews, and
have them on video?
Oh yeah, it's on my website.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that footage of you in the white vans. And then there was footage of you with a black van.
A black van was cruising down Clovis Avenue, and he was following me. And I'm going, really? And again, in my AT&T van, though. So they knew where I was at and what I'm driving now. So I decided to play a little cat and mouse with him. And I, put on the gas a little bit, and I try to lose him in the traffic, and he was still keeping up with me. And then all of a sudden, I pull over to the right, and I slow down, and he went right past me. What did I do? I break out the video camera, and I tape the van going by me. And that is not the only time, and it's happened a couple more times.
Have they ever tried to talk to you?
No. They are keeping watch on what I'm doing. They are listening now on my conversations on my iPhones. I have two iPhones, one's personal and the other one's my 24-hour UFO hotline. And when I'm talking to people trying to get an idea of a sighting, for example, somebody can call me at any point in time of the day, even in the night, I will talk to the person, try to find out where they are at that present time, in case there's a good possibility it might be close to where I'm at. I can get my vehicle, grab my briefcase, and head out there, see if I can, get a video of it. And a lot of times, I will be trying to get a description, a location, which way the craft going, and when I'm about to get the best information on the location of this craft, click, my cell phone will go. Die.
Don't you think because you do see them that they are trying to put you into fear, that they are trying to intimidate you by just you seeing the van and them getting out of the van?
You know what? They haven't really done anything to really scare me.
But that's, I think, what their intent is by showing up in front of your house, being behind you. I mean, they're trying to intimidate you.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in my house yet.
Were they in front of your house, you said, though?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you say they were, like, across the street from your house?
No, they were across the street of the sighting, the UFO sighting the family had.
Okay.
And that's where I got them scoping out that house.
Okay.
Because apparently a big, huge triangle, boomerang-shaped object malfunctioned, and it was about to hit their house. And that's, they called MUFON, made a report on it. I got the report, and, that's when I found them scoping out that house. I've never seen any white van around in my front house. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I think they're aware of that because I have video cameras all over my house, front and back. I mean, I got this place just hooked up. So I have 3 massive monitors on top of my big screen TV in my family room, and I have a visual of everywhere. So if I'm sitting down watching TV, I can pretty much know what's happening around my house. So I think they're aware of that, obviously, because they haven't been around. But I've caught them following me, and it's just, so be it. They know who I am now, and they're getting a little bit upset because I'm coming on their territory that has been top secret for the longest time. What's going to happen now, I don't know, but I'm trying to get what's going on in Fresno out to the public, so that way, once the people know what's going on here, hopefully that if I disappear,
I warned him against that.
Really?
Yeah. Like for example, this National Geographic thing, and we'll talk about that. But the more I tell people about what's going on, and the more people know about what I do, the more I get myself out there on the news, as far as the radio show goes, then, if something happens to me, people are going to know why.
But I think these people that they call like Men in Black, I don't think they care if you disappear.
And you're right. You're probably right. But I've also and I let them know that I have 6 people, and I'm not going to say who, but they all have documentation, pictures, letters, just information that if for some reason I happen to disappear and they find out these 6 people who have these files, they are to release them to the people that are marked on them. And I'm talking media, I'm talking people in high offices, and that this information is going to get out if something happens to me.
Now,
So,
Jeff, we were talking, I guess it was yesterday, and you were telling me about MUFON and why you left it. Are you allowed to say that on air?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I started my show on live stream about 5 months ago, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about everything paranormal like I do, UFO cases and especially, and I wanted to talk about MUFON's UFO cases because, hey, since I'm an investigator, I would like to talk about what I encountered on in a particular case. Well, it came from the upper management, way up there, that I was not allowed to do that. That on my show you couldn't talk about MUFON cases at all, which really, really upset me because, I've been an investigator for 2 years, and I was doing a lot of things to promote MUFON, to help promote MUFON, and for them not to allow me to do this really upset me. And I said, well, okay, fine. If you're not going to allow me to talk about any of the MUFON cases, I'm done with you. So I resigned my position as an investigator 6 months ago, and that was the end of that.
Mm. Have they ever bothered you since you quit MUFON?
No, I am still friends with the northern director for MUFON, Ruben Duarte. He's out there, Sacramento area. As a matter of fact, I talked at one of their conferences out there, the UFO conference they had out there a couple months ago. I talked out there.
Oh, you did?
What's that?
You did?
Yeah, and I talked with, oh my God, there's other people I just can't think of right now, but she's still real good friends with me and vice versa. He said, Jeff, you have to do what you got to do. And he knows that the upper management in MUFON can be really picky, and he said, dude, I would have done the same thing. So him and I are still on, speaking terms. Matter of fact, I'll probably have him in a couple of weeks to come on my show. I think they just released a book. He did anyway, so. I've heard stories about MUFON from the very beginning, but I needed to get my feet wet in UFO investigating. And that's the reason why I joined MUFON, even though I had heard stories about MUFON being, and one of the stories that I've heard, and again, this is just what I've heard, that MUFON was just a cover-up for the UFO sightings, and because MUFON originated like a long time ago, and from what I heard, that MUFON, when they did investigations on UFO cases, they pretty much just, talk to the person who had the sighting or whatever, make out a report and throw it under it. That was it. Now, what I was doing is I was doing a whole lot more. I was getting into it like I don't think any of the investigators do. I would go to their house, I would talk to them, I would do individual. I would talk to everybody involved, and being kids, people, I would take photographs. I would just go all out to try to find out what it was. And I think MUFON was not liking that, because I was really doing my job as an investigator.
Well, why wasn't MUFON doing that?
I don't know. Their investigators are, I guess that they're the type of investigators that like to investigate behind their computer. Mm. Okay? And me, I like to get my hands dirty. So I would go to the sighting area and I would investigate it, thoroughly. And I would, make up a report, and I think it was kind of making some of the other investigators that have been there for like 20 years, 15 years look bad, because I was really doing my job. And in MUFON, you can't, people have been there for a long time, and they have certain ways they do things that they weren't like the way, they were not liking the way I was doing my, my investigation. So there's a lot of bits and pieces that, that I can say that involved me to not be a MUFON investigator anymore. And I did my job correctly. Sometimes I went over the top, and I was finding out things that I wasn't supposed to because I was out, doing my job, and they were not liking that.
So, do you have any pictures of UFOs?
I have videos. If you go to my website,
okay.
There's stuff on there that just doesn't make any sense. We had a triangle crash here in Fresno in 2010. Again, we can talk about that, but the whole report of that is on my website.
Jeff, can you give everybody your website, please? I didn't write it down.
Yeah, it's SangerParanormalSociety.com. And Sanger is a little town east of Fresno. It's spelled as in Sam, A-N-G-E-R.
Thank you. So tell us about this UFO crash.
I got a report on a Saturday night. I got a phone call. Again, for those who don't know, I actually have a 24-hour UFO hotline, 287-8367, 287 UFO'S, and area code 559. And one Saturday night, about 8 o'clock, I just got out of the shower and my phone rang, and I answered it, and it was somebody who I know who lived north of Fresno. And he says, Jeff, I go, yeah, what? He goes, a triangle just crashed on the side of this hill by my house. And I went, what? He goes, yeah, the triangle's laying on the side of the hill. And I'm going, you're joking. I'm going, no, I'm not. You need to get over here now. So, I thrown in, it was sort of almost at the end of summer, not July, but I've thrown in my slippers, I got my shorts on, throw a shirt on, I grab all my equipment, I head out the door, and I'm en route. It's about a 20-minute drive. And so what I did is I got on the phone, I called him back on my cell phone, and what I did is, as I'm talking to him on the cell phone, everybody drives, me, I'm pretty, when I'm driving, I can talk, I can eat, I can drive with my knee, so what I did, everybody's done that, right? You go through on your makeup, your hair, right, you're having a sandwich, all driving to work, right? Well, I'm the same way, but I had a phone in my left hand, and I had the video camera running, and I was literally driving with my knee, and I started to record me talking to Justin, the witness to the crash. And I put it on loudspeaker, and I said, okay, Justin, I'm en route. Give me a description of what you see and what's going on. And he started describing to me what was going on. I said, the triangle's on the side of the hill, and the sun's just about to go down, and there's lights going around it, and what it's doing is it's trying to lift, and it's not getting full power, and it falls back down on the side of the hill. And he said it did it a couple times, and then after the second time, it didn't go up anymore, and I'm en route. And then he said, Jeff, he goes, now this is a hill north of Fresno, and trucks and cars started coming over the hill just out like a thin air, and they started dropping off people, and the cars and trucks started disappearing over the hill. And when I got there, it got dark, and I could see some lights on the hill. And when I got there, Justin goes, there it is, right there it is, and I'm about 2.5 miles from the crash site at his house, and there's no way we can get closer to it because there's a canal that goes around this hill. And so I took out my video equipment, and my heart is pumping really fast. I'm going, you got to be kidding! I mean, am I really going to get something on film that is going to make world news? I mean, like Roswell, New Mexico, here we got a crash. I mean, I'm calling this a UFO, unidentified flying object, because that's what it is. I'm not calling it a flying saucer from outer space or anything like that. A UFO. And so I'm like, my heart is pumping. I'm going, I'm getting my equipment out on the tripod, and I start recording at about 9:30. And I see some lights on the side of a hill, and that's all I see. So I'm there, 10 12:30 comes around, and all of a sudden I started to see some excitement. I see some more cars coming from over the hill, and they're ascending onto this area where Justin has said that's where the triangle is located. And then all of a sudden you see, again, headlights coming from over the hill, and Justin's telling me, Jeff, there are no roads up there. There may be dirt roads, but, there are no roads over that hill. And all of a sudden you see spotlights turn on, going down the hill like this, and in some of the video that I have, you have people running around the side of the hill with flashlights. And then at one point, at about 12:30 in the morning, I got what looked like to be arc welding on the side of the hill. And I got all this on video. And, so I go, wow, either what they're doing right now, because Justin was the one who pointed out that, Jeff, they're arc welding. He goes, either they're repairing the craft, or they're trying to cut it up and put it on a flatbed to get it out of there before sun comes up, so that way I don't see it and record it. So they're doing either or. And, this is going on for about an hour, and all of a sudden, silence, and I don't see anything on the hill anymore. And, at 12:30 in the morning, to see all this excitement on a hill, that was just out of the ordinary, because that shouldn't have been happening at this particular hill, because there's nothing up there except for 2 houses, and, spotlights, from the side of a vehicle, like a security vehicle, that shouldn't have been happening. So what's awesome is I got all that on video. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to stay here all night. And what I did is I just parked it on the bed of my truck, and I kept my eye on the hill, because I was afraid if I were to leave, I knew that they were going to bring in a helicopter or a big truck, and they were going to crane that sucker on it, and they were going to haul it out of here, and I would miss the shot of a lifetime. And I said, I'm not going to leave. And I stood there until sunup, and man, I was like, dozing off and trying to keep my eyes open, because I'm not a night person. And finally sun comes up, and I'm looking at the side of this mountain where this house is at, and I notice this weird object laying in front of this house. I have binoculars and a telescope, and I'm trying to, zero in on it, and it's kind of hard to find out what it is, so I record it. And everything is on my website. You can go to my website, everything's there. And what we did is we actually tried to get to that location, but it's a private area, and there's a particular gate and one entrance, and it was locked and you couldn't get in. And there was a canal running around that particular mountain, very convenient. And so, I tried my best to get over to that location, and I couldn't do it. And so, there was an object there in front of this house, and it's covered, it looks like it's covered with a gray tarp. And, again, it's on my website, you can see it. I wish I could have got up there closer to take a look at it, but I couldn't. And, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock comes around, and I haven't been to sleep yet, and I'm just like, I'm dying. I need to get home, get some food, and get some sleep, so I left. And that was pretty much the whole incident on that craft.
Wow.
And, it was, a lot of people think, I'm blowing smoke, but, this happened. And, for the things that I got on video, it's just weird that I got, people with flashlights running around on the side of this hill at 12:30 in the morning, arc welding, trucks and cars coming over the mountain where there's no roads, and all of a sudden you see them turn on the spotlight like police have on the door. That's the type of spotlight. Then they were flashing them down the bottom of the hills. I guess they were looking to make sure there was nobody coming up or anything, but something definitely happened. And it was Justin, his wife, and his mother who witnessed the triangle on the hill.
Wow. So the thing that surprises me is from all the activity that you saw, it represents that whoever it was wasn't surprised. They were prepared to, within, a short amount of time, to take care of whatever this was.
Yes, and you bring a good point, because this is why they are not liking me right now.
Yeah.
I am finding out that we have several underground facilities here in the Fresno area. And an incident happened to a friend of mine who used to live in Barstow in the desert. And he used to work on air conditioning units up there. And he was working at somebody's house, an older fellow's house, and he was working on the AC unit outside in the summer. And the older gentleman came out and he told my buddy Adam, said, "Hey, do you mind if I watch you?" And my buddy said, "No, go ahead." And so he was working on the AC unit. And so the gentleman who lives there started to make small talk. And he said, "So, hey, where are you from?" And my buddy said, "Oh, Fresno." And the gentleman goes, "Oh, Fresno." And he goes, "Boy, you must see a lot of UFOs there." And my buddy Adam looked at him, and, you know, he goes, he's trying to, did I just hear what he just said? And my buddy Adam goes, "What do you mean UFOs?" He goes, "Yeah, UFOs. You guys must have a lot of sightings there." And my buddy goes, "What do you mean? So you don't know about the underground facility there?" And now, before all this took place, as far as him, you know, working on the AC unit and the gentleman coming out, my buddy Adam remembers him saying that he's a retired engineer. But back up in the Barstow area, in the high desert, there's a lot of trains up there. So he thought he was a retired engineer from driving a train.
Oh.
And that's why he didn't put two and two together until he said, "No, I'm a retired engineer." So that older gentleman, since he retired, he told him, "Yeah, that facility's been there forever, and they actually bring crashed UFOs down there and they re-engineer them." And my buddy went, and he was speechless. And with that, him telling me that, and with everything else that's going on, I mean, I can go ahead and tell you more things that will bring all this out in the open and pretty much say, wow, you know. Another incident that happened is in May of 2001, when President Bush became president, he came down to Fresno. And this is fact. This is actually, go on the internet, you can pull up information on it. In May of 2001, he came to Fresno. And the reason the news said he was coming to Fresno is because he wanted to go up to the Sierras, to the Redwoods, and talk about the environment and how we should preserve the trees and all that. So he did. He came down. His Air Force One landed at the Fresno Air Terminal. He got out, met a couple of people, jumped on his Army helicopter. There was 4 Army helicopters, Black Hawks. I think they actually brought down one of his White House helicopters that was parked there. As a matter of fact, I think I remember seeing 2 of them. And he got on one of them. All the media, entourage, security detail. So there was 4 helicopters total from the airport, went up to the Sierras, and I remember seeing them. And at that time, I was not involved in any of this, because this was 2001. But I just find it kind of cool that, well, okay, President Bush is going to the mountains to visit the Redwoods, where I grew up, you know, I know about all that stuff. Well, now it gets even weirder. So he gets in front of a podium up there, and he talks to the media about the Redwoods. He goes hiking, the rangers take him around. It's getting close to sundown. All the media, entourage, you know, all the higher-ups get on 3 helicopters, and they bring them all back to Fresno. But guess what? President Bush did not come back. He stayed at a resort cabin up there in the mountains that night. Okay, now check this out. Now, that right there, I'm going, the President of the United States is staying in a cabin up in the mountains. Okay, whatever. Well, I have a friend who used to be a forest ranger up there and lived not too far away from where all these cabins and resorts are. He said at about 1:30 in the morning, he heard the helicopter start up, and it went up, and it went towards North Fresno. And it landed out there somewhere. And it came back at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going, wow. Another part to the puzzle that you can add that pretty much says, why would a President of the United States not stay at, you know, one of our high-class hotels? Well, we only have one have stayed there or hopped back on the airplane and taken off back to the White House. But no, he stayed up in the mountains. Well, you have to remember, President Bush Jr., his daddy, was the director of the CIA. Director of the CIA, this man, President Bush, the number one, knows everything you probably would want to know about what's going on in the world. So he probably wanted to show his son what's happening in real life. So you have to understand that if President Bush wanted to see Area 51 or Dulce, New Mexico, you could not fly Air Force One into Las Vegas and put him in a hotel because, everybody and the mother would know he's there. So they had to create some type of a cover to get him away from the population so where they can actually take him either to Area 50. Now you have to understand, Fresno is right in the middle of Area 51, China Lake Naval Air Base, Lemoore Naval Air Base. So we're right in the dead center of all this. And from what I understand as well is that I've had Anthony Sanchez on my show. He has written a book called UFO Highway about Dulce, New Mexico and underground military bases. And it's pretty much said that there are underground railroad transit systems that lead from underground base to underground base all over the United States. So him and I were talking while we were on the air, and we were going, this is all making sense. Apparently what we have underground to transport workers from military base installation to another one in Edwards Air Force Base, you can probably go from Area 51 to Dulce, New Mexico in a matter of 20 minutes in these things. So why is it to say that President Bush hopped on in one of the underground facilities down here, hopped on a train, took off the Dulce or took off the Area 51 and was back in no time?
Yeah, exactly.
So, all this that I'm finding out is making sense, and all this is fact. President Bush stayed up in the mountains. His helicopter went up and went northbound and landed about 5 minutes later where there should not be a helicopter pad north of Fresno.
Jeff, I want to ask you now, these UFOs that you're referring to, are they from the United States or are they from outer space?
Well, most of our sightings here in Fresno are triangles. We have different sized triangles. They're, somebody has a name for them called the TR3B. But we have also boomerang and giant triangles about the size of a football field, or even two sizes of a football field. That's how big these things are. A lot of those triangles, I believe, are ours, and the military are testing them over Fresno. Now, why Fresno? Well, I hate to say it, but there's a bunch of people in Fresno who are dummies. You have to understand, there is nothing to do here in Fresno except party on the weekend. And get drunk and do drugs, and that's it. Okay? I hate to say it, but I'm talking about my town, but that's all there is to do in Fresno. So, what they do is to fly these top secret aircraft. What they do is FAA regulations state that an airplane flying in any airspace throughout the world, you have to have certain colored lights on it, strobe lights, white lights, depending on the aircraft, even a helicopter. So when you see a helicopter, you got to have strobes on it, you got to have like a red light, a green light, and a bright light at the very bottom. Same goes for the airplane. A red light and a green light on the tip of the wings, on the tail, you have to have a strobe and a red light underneath the red lights and green lights, so that other airplanes can visually see you up in the sky. So what they do is these triangles, and you have to be very visual when you're outside, because I tell people, just because you see a light in the sky, don't think it's a helicopter or an airplane. Stop, look at it, first look at the shape. What kind of lights are on this thing? If it has one little blinking red light at the very bottom and maybe one white light, then you need to look at this craft longer and study it, because it should not be flying, because FAA regulations say it has broken the law big time. So a lot of times that, you know, again, our military are testing these crafts and they're putting these lights on it, and they're literally flying them right over towns out here in the valley, and people are just, you know, they either be driving, they notice a light out in the sky to the right of them, and they'll ignore it and continue driving because they think it's an airplane.
Now, I watched a little bit of your show on Sunday, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was so tired, but I just wanted to check you out. And you were interviewing a young college student that lived in Fresno, and she had seen a UFO.
Right. She, it was about 8:25. She was coming out of her college north of Fresno, again, north of Fresno, and she came to a light at Nice and Willow, and she noticed this, which at first she thought it was an airplane going to crash, and it was getting closer and closer to her car, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and it pretty much got pretty darn close to where she saw underneath the craft, and it had 3 large lights, and she said the lights were spinning underneath. And, you know, when I got that call, she started describing what she saw. You know, you have to understand that I get a lot of calls, and I made a lot of calls, and when they describe to me what they're witnessing, I pretty much tell them either it's an airplane or a helicopter, or you just saw a satellite or the International Space Station. But when she mentioned to me that underneath the craft, the lights that were there were actually rotating like this, that right there, I, you know, turned on my signal and I said, okay, what she is witnessing is the bottom craft of a triangle, because these triangles now use different types of propulsion systems, and they don't make any sound. But what I have learned is that these triangles of the very bottom and the 4 corners of the triangle underneath, they're very bright lights, and you can see them rotating. And that's what is basically running the craft. And when she mentioned that to me, I'm going, oh my God, you just saw a triangle. And what really blew me away is that she said that when it took off, she said, just think of a shooting star. When it comes down at an angle. She said this thing was like in reverse. It went whoosh, and it was gone just like that. Just like that. And it freaked her out, she said. And at that point, she said, I know what I saw. You know, it wasn't an airplane or a helicopter. And she posted it on her Facebook wall. And what's kind of cool is that one of her friends on her Facebook wall noticed that she posted a UFO sighting, and she goes, oh, you need to call Jeff Gonzalez right now. Here's the number. So she called me, and that's how I got the sighting.
So, do you believe that this was a real UFO or one that belonged to the United States?
See, that I can't tell you. I mean, I really can't tell you, because I don't know what we have. And you know, to this day, we could have some really high, top secret stuff that we're flying, but are re-engineered. Because you have to understand, 100 years ago, we were riding in covered wagons, just about, okay? In a matter of 100 years, we have had cell phones, microwaves, fiber optics, and it has increased in tenfold. I mean, I remember in the 80s, my cell phone was this big. Yeah. You remember that? And all of a sudden now we're watching freaking videos, we're talking, you know, face to face on these little things. You know, how fast is our technology growing?
But where are we getting our technology from?
I believe, and I seriously believe that we're getting this stuff from down aircraft from another world.
One of the things,
believe or not, I really
you and I talked about, and I said that I've been given information about, is that our world is pretty much surrounded by aliens. I call them star people, but by aliens. Good, bad, and they're all jockeying position on who gets to take over Earth. And basically what I was told is that these aircrafts that everybody's looking at and everybody's looking to the skies are sort of diversions to keep people from actually focusing on what's going on Earth. With star people, with aliens who are walking with us, who look like us, who talk like us, but they're not. So what's your thoughts about that?
I have not run into anything like that yet. I have had several people come to me and tell me the stories about abductions. There are a lot of abductions here in Fresno, and most of them are grays. Mm-hmm. I've had a couple of people tell me about reptilians. We had an incident here in 2008, and it's on YouTube. They're called the night crawlers. What happened is in central Fresno, a gentleman, he lives in a sort of kind of okay neighborhood, and what was happening is his front yard, his kids would leave their toys out there, and they were getting stolen by other kids. And he had a wrought iron gate around that was about 5 feet tall, but that wasn't doing the job. So what he did is he went and got a cheap security camera, like from Harbor Freight, for $30. He put it up in the eave of his house, and he took the wire inside and he plugged it into his VCR. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how easy it is nowadays to hook up a security system. A $30 camera, a cheap VCR, you plug it in, boom, record it, and whatever's outside, you can basically record on your VCR tape now. And he had a little black and white TV hooked up to that as well. And one night at about 12:30, his dog was barking like crazy. He had never heard his dog bark like that before. And so he got up and he walked to his family room and he was looking at the TV monitor. And then all of a sudden he noticed something traveling or walking across his yard. And he's looking at the monitor and he sees this, whatever it is, but the size is only 2.5 feet tall. Now, for those who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, go to YouTube right now, type in Night Crawlers, Fresno, California, or Stickmen, Fresno, California. And this thing is walking across the yard about 2.5 feet tall, and it looks like it has a cape on it. And you can see the motion of its legs moving. It has a little head on it, and it walks across the front yard, and he gets it on video. And then not more than 10 seconds later, another one walks across his yard, and he gets it on video. Now, what happened is, after that night, he got it on his VCR tape. Now, this guy's Spanish speaking. He doesn't know English. And what happened that, I don't know how long after that he got that video, but he took it to the Channel 21 Spanish station here in Fresno and gave it to one of the reporters and said, I got this on video, could you please help me find out what this stuff is? And so they looked at it and they went, holy smokes. Now you have to understand that the Spanish side of the people love this kind of stuff. I mean, they are so into paranormal, not even funny. And so they ran it on the news, and it pretty much made world news on the Spanish market. And it's on, YouTube. You can find it all over the place. And what's kind of weird too about it is that show on Sci-Fi called Fact or Fake. Mm-hmm. They actually came down and did an episode on that, trying to debunk it, but they could not.
Wow. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, Fact or Fake lied about a lot of stuff on that show, and I busted it on them.
Good for you.
So I'm not friends with them anymore. But stuff like that, when Donna mentioned different types of aliens, we have 2.5-foot creatures walking across yards in Fresno. Okay? What the hell?
I think, one of the things that a lot of people who are into UFOs is they're so focused on the sky, and that's wonderful, but I think really what you're doing is you're getting beyond that and you're starting to look on Earth. What is going on Earth? I mean, if they are coming in these triangles or whatever ships that they're coming in, and a lot of activity happens at the mountains. So you have Shasta, which has a lot of activity. Here we have Mount Diablo, which I have friends who say they've watched Mount Diablo their whole lives and have things coming and going out of there.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so a lot of activity happens in Mount Diablo. So a lot of these mountains who are also, they're volcanoes, they have things coming and going out of there. So I think the more that you quit looking to the skies and you start looking at what are they doing here, then that's where you're going to start getting information on what are they actually doing here.
Right. I have sources telling me that aliens have been here for thousands of years, but they've been underground. And there are vast tunnel systems throughout the world that we actually have different types of aliens living here right now. And in certain times, I believe like in the 40s and the 30s is when our government became known of that, and especially in the Dulce, New Mexico area where reptilians were living underground. Right now, I believe our government are in cooperation with some of the aliens. Like you said, there are all types. So you have your grays, you have your, your reptilians, and your star people, ones that look exactly like us, pretty damn close. And they're just all types of different types of aliens. And, people think this is a joke, but it's not. I have, really, really close friends and relatives who have pulled me aside and have told me that different abductions have actually happened to them. And, for my relatives to come and tell me this, it's pretty freaking incredible, because that would be the last person who would ever tell me anything like that. And they were like so ashamed, but I had to tell them, what, you're not alone. There are things happening like this all the time, and I have family down here who are getting abducted to this day.
In Fresno?
In Fresno, you bet. Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking that this whole top secret stuff that's happening in Fresno, definitely aliens are involved somehow, and I think they're testing stuff in the Fresno area as far as abductions on humans, and I don't know what type of animal abductions that are occurring. I haven't heard of any lately, but I know there are things going on between both of them, our government and the aliens, and all that's happening right around the valley. And I just, a lot of people are telling me that there's possibly some type of an opening over Fresno. And when I mean opening,
like a portal?
Like a vortex, where they're actually coming in and out of.
I think there's more and more of those that have opened up as well. A lot of the community I'm involved with are saying a lot of portals, a lot of time shifts have been happening.
Right. And it's increasing in size too. Now with the internet, on my Facebook wall, I post the weirdest stuff that is going on throughout the world that, you just don't hear on the media, and I'm advising people of it. And people are now taking note, and, they're going, this is real, this is not made up. I will only post what I think is genuine and not hoaxed.
Jeff,
a lot of stuff out there.
Laura from PTN said that video was removed off of YouTube.
Which one?
I guess she went over there to look at a video that you had?
Yeah, what she's going to have to do is it got removed off of my website. Tell her to go to YouTube itself and search it there. And type in Fresno aliens, just start typing in Fresno aliens, because for some reason it got removed from my site a while back, but I just haven't had time to put it on.
Who removed it? Who removed it?
I don't know. And the video that I had to link to got shut down.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Now, but it's still on YouTube. You know, other people have copied it onto their favorites, and then you can still go and look at it. But it's there, and you have to understand, his name is Jose. I've spoken to him in person. I know where he lives. He does not have the technology or the know-how as far as electronics or computer to generate something like this. Okay, what you see on that video is off a VCR tape, and it's genuine as you can get. So he has not made any money on this. You know, Factor Fake did not give him any money. To this day, he has that tape in a safe place. So, you know, it's as real as you can get. You know, people think, oh, it's a hoax, it's somebody, you know, pulling a string across the yard. No, I mean, they've analyzed it. It's whatever those two things are, they are walking on their own and across this front lawn.
Now, Jeff, what about these ancient ruins that you came across?
Yeah. After the crash happened, and you have to understand, North Fresno, that's where most of the activity occurs. I actually have, to this day, Fresno Police Department calling me on my 24-hour hotline. I have half the force as friends on my Facebook wall. And my credibility is now to the point where when I have Fresno PD calling me, you know something's going down. So I've had, you know, sightings come from North Fresno here, North Fresno there. You know, the triangle crashed North Fresno. We have triangles coming from around this hill, North Fresno. So Justin, the person who witnessed the crash of the triangle, and I, one day on a Sunday, decided, you know what? Let's just go hiking over there, that area, and let's see what we can find. You know, I've gone on Google Earth, and, you know, Google Earth, you know, it's just so much territory, you know, and you can only zoom in so much. So we went hiking one day, and we got to a point where we got our binoculars and we were looking, and Justin spotted some columns behind his house, and he goes, Jeff, what's that? And I looked, and I'm going, I don't know what that is, but we couldn't get to it. So, you know, we finished that day, and when I got home, I went into Google Earth, and I zeroed in on this spot, and I said, what the hell is this? Well, there are, for what I think they are, is old ruins. Now people are going, what do you mean old ruins? Everybody go to YouTube right now and type in ancient ruins North Fresno, and you will know what I'm talking about. I actually, me and 3 of my associates from Sacred Paranormal Society decided to trespass 4 properties to get to this spot, and we did. And there, you know, I video recorded.
Oh,
Goes up.
yeah. Oh, Jeff.